What's so amazing about doing comedy at church, when I was a kid, laughing at church was illegal. You couldn't laugh at church. I remember one time laughing at church because this lady was jumping around and her wig fell off. So that stuff was funny. Her wig fell off and then I laughed. My grandmother would pinch and twist. I can understand a pinch. You gonna twist? That's the devil. One time I get to church, 7 years old, there's a dead body in the front. It's a funeral. Nobody explains that to a 7-year-old Michael Jr. I'm thinking that's how they roll. Like every 3 weeks or so, they bring a dead body in as an example or something. And the dude on stage yell at everybody in the audience like they the ones that did it. But I'm looking for some explanation. What happened to the man in the box? Dude on stage said he went to see the king. That was his whole explanation. He went to see the king. I don't understand what that meant. They didn't even call the kids choir to sing. And what song we got to sing? Soon and very soon, we are gonna see the king. I don't want to see the king. I don't want to see the king. Even as a kid, growing up, we were poor. We weren't even poor, we were po. We couldn't afford the other letters, man. When you're poor, your creativity excels. Like it really, really excels. I remember I wanted an action figure when I was 10 years old. I wanted an action figure so bad. My birthday came along, my dad hands me a box. I open it up, it's empty. He said, "It's Invisible Man." I was like, that is awesome! I played with that thing for like 3 weeks, man. So my brother hid it from me. We're excited. Me and my wife just had a new baby. Yeah. And then the doctor tries to throw in perks. The doctor was like, so listen, during birth, would you like to catch the baby? Catch the baby doing what? What are you talking about? I said, no. If you want to, you can catch the baby. I'm like, isn't that your job to catch the baby? Do I get a discount if I catch the baby? What are you gonna be doing while I'm catching the baby? You went to school to catch the baby. I do comedy. I shouldn't be catching the baby. And now with the new baby, we're to the point now where she sleeps through the night, which is great, because I was so tired of getting up at like 3 a.m. to wake up my wife. No, I'll get up with the baby. I always get up with the baby, and I would take care of the baby and make sure she had all of her stuff. And I also would talk to her about how much I love her mom and how beautiful her mom is, because I think it's important that a child feel that security. You know what I'm saying? Plus, the baby monitor was on, so. Parents, you ever want to have to talk with your teenagers? Because teenagers can be a little bit of work. You ever want to have to talk with them? You ever want to break up with them? You ever want to sit them down and be like, listen, I think we should just be friends. It's not working out. It's just not working. We are fooling ourselves. No. It's not like, no. We're not seeing any other kids. We're not ready. But if you want to see some other parents, that's just fine. Okay? If you could just give us our stuff back, that'd be cool. We call it even. You know what I'm saying? You ever know somebody that was oversaved? You can't even have a regular conversation with them. He's like, hey man, I'm thirsty. You thirsty? Thirsty for the Lord. Thirsty for the Lord? Hey, I lost my keys. Could you help me find my keys? You need the keys to the kingdom. I know as soon as I said oversaved, some of y'all had somebody in mind, but if you didn't, somebody had you in mind. A couple indicators to let you know you're oversaved. Just a couple indicators. If you don't mess around with computers because they got a cursor, sorry. If you rebuke vacuum cleaners because it's a dirt devil, I like reading the Bible. I was reading the Bible, found out Jesus had a little brother. Anybody know his name? James. When I read that, I was like, how much pressure was that? Jesus, your big brother? How many times did you have to hear, why come you can't be more like Jesus, James? Because you know, everybody probably thought that James could do the same thing Jesus could do, but he couldn't. He was just James. He wasn't James Christ. Remember the wedding banquet? Jesus turned water into wine. Everybody was amazed, but they don't tell you about the next banquet. Jesus left early. They started running out of wine. Everybody looked at James. It's like, man, last time this happened, your brother made some wine, dude. You just gonna stand there with your sandals on? You're not gonna... Can you make some Kool-Aid or something, man? You're not gonna do anything? And you know James had problems, just like any other kid had problems. He would try to follow his big brother around. So everywhere Jesus went, James followed him. That's what little brothers do. So if Jesus went there, so did James. I bet one time, James almost drowned. I'm sure James had problems. He would go to his parents with his problems. And his parents, especially his mom, was trying to throw him a bone once in a while. They'd pray over their food. They're like, Lord, we just thank you for this food. In James' name. James had problems. He would go to his parents with his problems, and you know what they would say? He'd be like, well, what would Jesus do, you know? First, let me tell you how I learned how to swim. I'm fishing off a bridge in Michigan when I was a kid. I'm 11 years old. I'm fishing off a bridge. I love to fish, so I'm fishing off a bridge. The fish not biting. My dad comes over. He's like, they're not biting, are they? I was like, nope. He's like, well, let's have some fun. That's how I learned how to swim. Fast forward some years later, I'm doing a show at a comedy club in the South. And I get heckled from this guy in the back of the room with more twang than I can explain. You ever hear somebody with so much twang it sounds like they speak in banjo? So the dude heckles me from the back of the room and he says this, Michael Jr., I was wondering, why do all black people look alike? Right? And the whole crowd froze. It's an all-white audience. They didn't know how I was going to respond or what I was going to do. They had no idea. I didn't know how I was going to respond or what I was going to do. They didn't know if I was going to throw a chair, get mad. They had no idea. When I said these words, I didn't even think them. When I said them, I was hearing them for the first time. He said, Michael Jr., why do all black people look alike? I was like, we don't all look alike. You just got to cut the eye holes in your sheet a lot bigger. And that's when I knew I was a professional.